Hello and good evening. It is a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Nyaude. You are watching Newsplus. Here's to hoping you did have a restful weekend. Let's get straight to the stories making headlines tonight. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has arrived in Doha, Qatar, to attend the Second World Summit for Social Development. Convened by the United Nations, the summit brings together global leaders to reaffirm commitments to inclusive development and social justice. Our correspondent Fungi Koramba is on standby from Qatar with an update. Vice President Dr. Constantine Chiwenga has rebuked the post-election violence that has engulfed Tanzania, describing it as archaic and unacceptable in 21st century political contestation. Dr. Chiwenga was speaking after witnessing the inauguration of Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan in Tanzania's administrative capital of Dodoma. Details on that story coming up here on Newsplus. We shall take you to the courts for details on the rape and fraud case involving Prophet Magaya. Magaya is jointly charged with his wife on 13 counts of fraud and has been remanded in custody. Our correspondent Blessing Masagaza, who covered the court case, will be joining us live with more details. And in sport, Chevron's captain Skandaraza says he saw improvements in his side's batting despite losing their T20 International Series to Afghanistan's 3-0. Now, our top story this evening, President Mnangagwa has arrived in Doha to attend the Second World Summit for Social Development, which aims to establish mechanisms for eradicating poverty, ensuring employment, and promoting social inclusion. This is the first summit of its kind since the initial meeting was held in Copenhagen, Denmark in 1995. The summit seeks to strengthen global partnerships and promote inclusive policies that foster equitable opportunities. Deliberations will focus on addressing global challenges such as poverty eradication and employment creation. Amen Fungi Koramba, who traveled with the president, joins us live on the line from Doha with more details. Fungi, good evening.
The event will focus on renewing global commitments to social development and addressing persistent gaps in these areas. According to official statements, the summit is expected to conclude with the adoption of an action-oriented political declaration. This declaration would outline commitments to social development and provide momentum for implementation at national and international levels. The summit's goals align with Zimbabwe's National Development Agenda, which prioritizes leaving no one and no place behind. President Mnangagwa's Vision 2030, which aims to transform Zimbabwe into an upper middle income economy, is also in tandem with the summit's objectives and the broader sustainable development goals.
Now, still staying with this story, we are now joined by Eben Mabunda for insights on the upcoming conference. Eben, good evening and thank you so much for joining us. What is the significance of the Second World Summit for Social Development?
Good evening. Well, this very event is in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Mission for 2030. And this is the manifestation of a 1995 Copenhagen Declaration for Social Development, hinged on three key pillars. The first one is the pillar of full employment. The second pillar is the eradication of poverty, as well as the third one, which then is the pillar of social integration. So these frame what of course will be central to this very conference, where global leaders from of course the four corners of the world will be converging between the 4th and the 6th of November to deliberate on these key issues, how it is that of course a huge part of the third world remains a key concern, where of course full employment is concerned, the eradication of poverty is concerned, social inequalities that exist within our societies and communities. So this is right at the fore of the United Nations summit, this of course which is coming through, where different leaders from across the world will be meeting for this particular meeting.
So now, even what benefit then could emanate for Zimbabwe from this conference?
For Zimbabwe, there would be several avenues and several aspects, or angles rather. The first one being, of course, how it is that Zimbabwe has proved to be an exporter of labor, skilled labor at that, and especially with the agenda of full employment, there could be some cross linkages that could be explored where this very conference is concerned. At the same time, the subject of the eradication of poverty then also becomes an area of conversation for Zimbabwe, in line with the theme of engagement and re-engagement. It's a platform for Zimbabwe to meet with other global leaders and try and foster possibilities and cooperation in agriculture, in the country's mining sector, in the country's tourism, value addition, of course, manufacturing, these being the key pillars of the Zimbabwean economy. So these are avenues of possibilities as Zimbabwe's leaders engage at that particular level to try and establish some degree of partnerships going forward.
Well, Ivan, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us those insights. Now, Vice President Dr. Constantino Chiwenga has condemned post-election violence that has engulfed Tanzania, describing it as archaic and unacceptable in 21st century political contestation. He was speaking after witnessing the inauguration of President Samia Suluhu Hassan in Tanzania's administrative capital of Dodoma, where he attended as President Mnangagwa's representative. The Vice President spoke of Zimbabwe's pain at seeing disturbances in Tanzania, a sisterly republic with an indelible mark in the history of Zimbabwe's fight for independence and a dependable ally. Now, President Suluhu Hassan said she is committed to seeing an end to these disturbances. She vowed to unite the country and urged security agencies to ensure that normalcy returns. On Sunday, President Emmerson Mnangagwa sent a congratulatory message to Tanzania's President-elect, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, following her victory in the elections. The president reiterated Zimbabwe's commitment to work closely with Tanzania in strengthening the strong bonds of friendship and solidarity between these two countries. Now, outrage is mounting in Harare as residents accuse the city council of unjustified water tariff hikes in the midst of continued errant water supplies. The Harare City Council, in its 2026 proposed budget, proposed water tariff hikes. Our reporter Talin Gore spoke to some of the residents who shared their views on this matter.
Harare residents are not happy with the city's plans to increase water tariffs. They are saying that if the council wants to increase the water tariffs, they have to ensure that each and every household within Harare receives potable and clean water. Some households have gone for 2 years without water, and right now they are furious with the council. As you can see right behind me, we have residents who are fetching water because they haven't had water in weeks now.
Under the new proposed tariff structure, charges for high-density suburbs are expected to increase from $24 to $2 per 0 to 5 cubic meters. Low-density areas will now be expected to pay $4 from $70. Residents say the hikes are unfair and insensitive given that most households go for days, some even months without running water.
Vanhu vari kutozowanda kumabhozi kuri kuita fight kuri kurwiwa kumabhozi kunenyaya yekuti kudzimba kwemvura iri kubuda ikoko haisi safe saka vanhu vari kuwandira kumabhozi saka zvekanzuro zvokuti vanowedzera mari nekuita sei dai vambomira vatanga vambogadzirisa kuti kubude mvura yakachena zvotokwanisa kuzonge zviri reasonable kuti mari izokwidzwa tatanga taona kuti mvura iri kubuda yakachena pane kuti tidzirwe mari mvura yakasviba.
Zvinonidi kuti vangati vawedzera mari kumvura apa mvura yacho hakuna saka chavanenge vachiti vawedzere mari kumvura yacho kusina vanhu vachiwana mvura mumabhoho nemuzvibhorani saka hazviite kuti vanoti vanowedzera maretsi emvura iko kusina mvura yacho saka hazvireve chinhu ndavatange vagadzirisa zvemvura then vozokwidza mitengo yavo kana mvura ichinge iriko.
Ratepayers argue that the city council should focus on fixing broken infrastructure and restoring water supply before increasing tariffs.
Mvura iri kunetsa apa vada kukwidza futi saka tizive kuti kukwidza uku vada kukwidza kuti tiwane mweya wekufema here kana kuti chaja mari yekufema here kana kuti zviri zvemvura hapana kana mvura tatokwanisa 2 years right now musina kana mvura maflats medu.
However, the council is defending the decision, saying a large portion of the budget has been allocated to water services, including the introduction of proposed smart water meters, which are meant to enhance billing efficiency and reduce water losses.
The 2026 water tariff review aims to align rates with the cost recovery while maintaining affordability for low consumption households.
Harare's water crisis has persisted for years, with aging infrastructure, frequent breakdowns at Moton Jeffrey waterworks, and pollution in raw water sources, leaving many suburbs dry. Residents are demanding lasting solutions before paying more for a service that remains unreliable. For ZTN Prime, I am Talent Gori in Harare.
Now, earlier we caught up with the director of the Combined Harare Residents Association, Ruben Akili, to get his reaction on the council budget.
So there's no reason, they cannot justify, to then increase, the budget when they are failing even to get half of what they are budgeting. The other issue is, remember, the Auditor General have raised serious issues around the audits for the local authority or financial statements. And again, the last audited statements for the local authority probably was around 2021 and now in 2025. And when you look at it, these are some of the things which have destroyed the public trust, amongst the residents, because people no longer trust the local authority, a local authority which was last audited around 2021, and they want more money. When you look at 2006-2007 period, Harare was producing around 600 to 620 megaliters of water per day, and now 20 years later, the local authority is now producing 350 megaliters or 320 megaliters per day. We are regressing in terms of service provision, but they want to demand more. When you look at around 2014, 2015, the local authority had around 52 refuse trucks, and now probably they've got 3, and they are demanding more money. The issues at the city of Harare, they have something to do with management. There's mismanagement, which has been a challenge at the city of Harare. This is one of the things which have been standing in the way of public service provision, and increasing tariffs will not change anything unless we address the underlying governance issues that have been crippling our local authority.
Oh, you are watching Newsplus. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth. This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go! Lights, camera, action. Put your mind to it, live the life that you remember.
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Harare, tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now we take it to the courts. Prophetic Healing and Deliverance Ministries leader Walter Magaya and his wife Tendai will spend tonight in remand prison after Harare Magistrate Marewa Nazogofa deferred their ruling to Tuesday on whether the court will release them following their application against over-detention. Magaya was arrested on Saturday and appeared in court this Monday, facing 5 counts of rape involving 2 victims, and is also jointly charged with his wife Tendai, facing 13 counts of fraud. The couple allegedly defrauded their congregants of over $49,000. Now, our correspondent Blessing Masakadza, who was at the magistrate's court, joins us live for an update. Blessing, good evening. It's good to have you on Newsplus. Now, if you could just tell us what transpired at court today.
Prophet Magaya and his wife Tendai were in court this afternoon. They are facing charges of rape and also charges of fraud. The Prophet is being charged separately on that charge of rape. Also appearing in court was their security detail, Tapiwa Chikondo, who is a soldier. He's being charged with obstruction of justice. He's alleged to have shoved a corpse to the ground at the prayer mountain where the Prophet was arrested. So their lawyers today applied to have them released. They argue that they were over-detained by the police and they should not proceed to remand, or remand proceedings should not apply because the law allows for their immediate release if they are over-detained. On Tapiwa Chikondo, he applied for bail and the court will give a ruling tomorrow. Also, the magistrate Marewa Nazogofa, who heard the Magaya case, deferred the matter to tomorrow, 9 a.m. for ruling on the application that has been made by the defense. The state argues that there is no provision. It is impossible for them to be released. They say there are remedies. If someone is over-detained, there are remedies which can be pursued at law, not to have the charges dropped. But the defense argues that they are not saying they should not be charged. What they are arguing is the two were over-detained and they should be released unconditionally according to the Constitution.
Now, Masakaza, if you could just please unpack for us the charges that they are facing.
So, Prophet Magaya is facing 5 counts of rape involving 2 complainants whose names cannot be said for ethical reasons. One of the charges is accused to have raped the woman 3 times and also the other one 2 times. So again, like we highlighted earlier, the matter will come back tomorrow for a ruling on the challenge that has been raised by his defense team. On the fraud allegations, there are 13 counts involving 13 people who have come forward to the police with allegations that they were defrauded by the Prophet and his wife in a housing scheme. So it involves close to 50,000, around 49,000 and 190,000 rand, all in all. So the court again will make a determination tomorrow to hear whether the two should be released because of over-detention.
Oh, Blessing, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us those insights. It's still a developing story, so we'll catch up with you tomorrow to hear what the courts have decided. Now, the African Peer-Reviewed Mechanism Field Mission officially opened in Harare today, a very significant step in Zimbabwe's journey towards better governance and development. The APRM is an African-led platform that allows member states to self-assess and improve their political, economic, and corporate governance. We get more details in the following report.
Zimbabwe is hosting a team of eminent persons from the African Peer Review Mechanism from today until the 18th of this month. The delegation, led by Ambassador Ali El Hafni, is in the country for a target review field mission to assess Zimbabwe's economic governance and management. This follows Zimbabwe's accession to the African Union's peer review system in 2020.
We are truly delighted to host you, Ambassador, and your team, and we regard your presence as both historic and significant. We have looked forward to this important peer review mission, and we are truly delighted that the time has arrived.
The mission is important for Zimbabwe's international image It offers an independent assessment of the country's governance practices and can help build confidence among investors and partners. The APRM team will travel to provinces across Zimbabwe for consultations with government ministries, the private sector, civil society, youth-led organizations, and the media. These engagements are part of a review to assess how well Zimbabwe's economy is being governed and managed.
This review provides an invaluable opportunity for the country to take an in-depth and evidence-based look at our economic governance systems, identifying strengths, addressing challenges, and ensuring that our policies promote inclusive growth and social equity. This process complements our Vision 2030, our National Development Strategy 2, to be launched soon, as well as the aspirations of Agenda 2063.
Team lead of the APRM delegation, Ambassador Ali El Hafni, said his delegation will focus on the design and implementation of economic policies as they carry out the review process. The assessment will also examine stakeholder participation in economic policy formulation, efforts to promote trade, and the country's commitment to curbing illicit financial flows.
Examine the extent to which government engages key stakeholders to foster ownership, accountability, and inclusiveness in economic policy making. 3. Promote of sound public financial management. Evaluate the transparency, efficiency, and integrity of budgeting, revenue, and expenditure systems to ensure prudent use of public resources. Combating money laundering and illicit financial outflows. Review the legal and institutional mechanisms that prevent financial crimes.
Ambassador Hafni praised Zimbabwe's commitment to good governance, saying its willingness to subject itself to the peer review process shows readiness to improve. Cheryl Munjenjema for ZTN News in Harare.
Now let's talk infrastructure development. The transport and logistics industry has applauded the government for massive road and border infrastructure developments that have improved efficiency in the movement of goods and services. The sentiments were expressed in Kariba during a summer seminar organized by the Zimbabwe Institute of Transport and Logistics. We get more in this report.
Logistics industry players gathered in Kariba for a summer seminar where they commended government investment in infrastructure and innovation for transforming the transport industry. They cited progress on highways and interchanges, improved border efficiency, and reduced travel times and costs, making trade more competitive. These developments, they say, are revolutionizing the operations of transport and logistics companies.
You are aware that the government is rehabilitating the roads to facilitate the movement of goods in and out of Zimbabwe. The Bight Bridge, Mashingo Road, is almost done. So that's a significant change. You know, when you look at the north-south corridor, which links us to the port cities of Beira and Port Elizabeth, we have seen significant changes. We have seen also the completion of the game changer, which is the Trabablas interchange, which is a very important transport node.
Delegates also explored emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, as tools to make Zimbabwe's transport system smarter, safer, and more efficient.
AI-based agents, when they are deployed in strategic places on the roads, they play a very important role in detecting errors, in avoiding. Predictive analytics will see that something may happen before it even happens. And when interventions are timely done, we will definitely reduce road accidents, we will definitely reduce errors that are based on the errors, the faults of the drivers.
We can actually embrace technology, things like telematics in monitoring the movement of vehicles on the road so as to reduce carnage on the road.
I've learned that
For example, women who are in transport business, in fleet management, their business can be made efficient and improved in performance by incorporating issues like technology and fleet management software in their systems.
The government continues with infrastructure development, with several expansion projects already yielding results, such as the transformation of several border posts into 24-hour facility is expected to further reduce congestion, ease of doing business, and promote more trade along regional corridors.
In the government, we are always committed to nurturing such platforms and engagements, and we continue to lobby other regulatory authorities themselves in the region and the rest of the continent towards harnessing buy-in for the full implementation of initiatives, harmonization, standardization, simplification of cross-border road freight transport.
With massive projects such as the new Trabablas interchange and Harare Masvingo Bait Bridge Highway nearing completion, industry players say the transport and logistics sector is poised for sustainable growth.
Now, meanwhile, the Public Service Commission has begun crafting a 5-year strategic plan that's aimed at transforming Zimbabwe's public service into a high-performing, citizen-centered and innovation-driven institution. The workshop, currently underway in Mlayo, is expected to shape the Commission's priorities from 2026 to 2030, aligning them with the country's Vision 2030 and the upcoming National Development Strategy 2.
Held under the theme Reimagining Public Service Delivery in Pursuit of Vision 2030, Unlocking Value Through Transformation, Innovation and Broad-Based Inclusivity, the Public Service Commission's 5-year strategic plan workshop marks a key moment in defining how government will deliver services in the years ahead. Chairperson of the Public Service Commission, Dr. Vincent Hungwe, said the gathering goes beyond the routine planning, describing it as a transformational exercise to reposition the public service in a fast-changing national and global environment.
It compels us to recalibrate our structure as the Public Service Commission, to recalibrate our systems as to how we can drive our work streams and the culture to better respond to contemporary development challenges and opportunities.
Dr. Hungwe said the Commission's 2026 to 2030 roadmap will prioritize a results-driven culture, automation of human resources systems, and e-governance, all anchored on ethical leadership, professionalism, and accountability. He added that inclusivity will remain central with deliberate efforts to mainstream gender equality, youth empowerment, disability inclusion, and regional balance across the public service.
Our deliberations must therefore be informed by anticipatory intelligence, evidence-based insights, and adaptive strategies that position the public service not as a reactor to change, but as a proactive architect of resilient and future-fit governance solutions.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, Mr. Simon Masanga, underscored the Commission's central role in achieving Vision 2030 through NDS2, working alongside the Ministry of Finance and the Office of the President and Cabinet.
And it is therefore necessary and important for the Public Service Commission to look at the priorities under NDS2, which they have already done, and try to align the Commission to meet the expectations and outcomes of our second 5-year blueprint.
Masanga said the Commission's digitalization efforts are already improving access to government services as the PSC moves towards a leaner, technology-driven public service.
A very efficient ICT unit working with, of course, the Minister of ICT and the other ICT unit in OPC to ensure that people need not travel long distances to access government.
The outcomes of the Bulawayo workshop will feed into the Public Service Commission's 5-year strategic plan, setting the tone for a professional, inclusive, and technology-enabled public sector as Zimbabwe advances towards Vision 2030.
Now for the weekly weather update, we cross over to James Ngoma, who is the chief forecaster with the Met Services Department. James, good evening. Thank you so much for making the time and joining us right here on Newsplus. Now, it has been quite a slow start to the rain season. Has there been some sort of change in the weather pattern?
Thank you very much, Faith, for that question. Looking at our forecast for this season, we had predicted a very slow onset, where we had said the month of October was going to have below normal rainfall to normal. We were expecting it to have very light occurrences of rainfall and very isolated in their occurrences. But as we get into the month of November, it was predicted that there will be a peak in the rain where we would get normal to below normal rainfall. So it's slightly more than what we had in October. And we're expecting these significant rains to start off this week into much of November.
James, what is the weather looking like now as we get into the week?
It's a very interesting week ahead, where currently we have had cooling conditions that are emanating from the south. We know that most of our cold conditions come in from South Africa into the interior of the country because of southeasterly winds that drifted in as of this weekend. So we had cloudy conditions over much of Masvingo, Matabeleland South and Manicaland, covering parts of Bulawayo Metropolitan into the southern parts of Midlands, covering all the way up to Gweru. We had significant falls in those areas because of that moisture. But however, our system to watch is particularly coming in from Botswana. We're expecting a cloud traverse much of the atmosphere, covering most of our areas, but the significant falls are expected along the main highway. That's areas that touch parts of Bulawayo, Gweru, Kwekwe, Kadoma, which we call our main watershed. This is where most of our winds that emanate from both the north and the southeast meet, giving us significant falls. So this moisture is expected from Wednesday right through to Friday. We're expecting significant falls above 50 millimeters in some areas, and this might cause a bit of distraction, especially because of the strong winds and hailstorms predicted in some areas.
Welcome wherever you are. And Mamouche, room to shoot. He well and truly did. It's an opportunity. What a shot to Shado! Tarkowski! Scott's got to be careful. Bukayo Saka! But it's Salah, and that one delivers!
Never miss a play, home or away. Stream all Premier League games live on Showmax.
Welcome back. You're still watching Newsplus. We come back with some education news. Special advisor to the president, Dr. Joram Gumbo, has held private sector involvement in supporting key pillars of national development strategy toward attaining Vision 2030. Now, through cooperation between the government and stakeholders, Dr. Gumbo said hope, dignity and opportunities are being created in communities. He was speaking during a tour of Gangarambwe Primary School in Hurunga District, constructed by the Minerals Marketing Corporation of Zimbabwe at a cost of $300,000.
Minerals Marketing Corporation of Zimbabwe injected $300,000 into the project, which started in December 2024. Special Advisor to the President, Dr. Joram Gumbo, hailed the collaboration between government and other stakeholders in bringing development in communities.
Zvinofadza. Chikuru chinofadza chandaona panapa ndezvekuti parakidza kushanda pamwe chete kwehurumende neatingati mamwe ma-stakeholders kana kuti ma-companies. MMCZ yatiitira chikoro chakafanana neichichi. Charakidza kuti magariro aita vana vari pachikoro chamaona chehuswa zvimabuildings amaona nezviri kuita apa. Vanofanira kuti vatendwe ve-MMCZ.
Dr. Gumbo said the MMCZ has contributed towards the attainment of Vision 2030 for an empowered upper middle income society. Also present at the commissioning of the facility was Mashonaland West Provincial Affairs and Devolution Minister Marian Chombo, who said the development highlights the impact of the whole of government and whole of society approach to drive development.
Asinoda kutenda community yemuno because pane bandiko ravakabatawo kuti tikwanise kusimudza building yatiri kuona iyo imona tichifamba tichibva kuold structure tikaenda muold structure. Izvi ndo zvinoenderana nevision 2030 yatakanangana nayo tiri kutaura nayo nekuti we cannot produce a leader within that environment.
Acting Provincial Education Director Chance Matambasere commended MMCZ for helping reduce the distances learners walk to school.
Because as we speak, the distance between schools of at most 5 kilometers hasn't been reached, because the distances that we are getting from this Gangarabwe to Deve, there are some 8, Gangarabwe to Chiroti, there are some 9. So we haven't reached where exactly we want, but we would like to thank MMCZ for this gesture.
The makeshift classrooms had concrete slabs for benches, while teachers were squatting in the community. Mhlobane said the second phase will see construction of an administration, ECD blocks, and installation of solar power.
Sikhangelele ukuthi phase 2 lapho sizabe siyakha khona i-building block ye-administration, siphinde siyakhe njalo siyakhela abe-ECD. Sikhangele ukuthi sizasebenzisa imali edlula $200,000 uze siqedise ngoba abantwana lapho esibabone khona lapho abafundela khona bekungafanelanga. Sikhangelele ukuthi leyi sikwanisela indlela ka-Vision 2030 yokuthi an upper middle income society.
The transformation of Gangarawe Primary School stands as a shining example of what collaboration between government and its partners can achieve. With improved facilities and plans for further development underway, the project brings a renewed hope to the community, affirming the commitment to inclusive growth and ensuring that no one and no place is left behind. Tavares Bojiwe for ZTN Prime.
Now, beyond our borders, the Nigerian government has rejected remarks by US President Donald Trump alleging large-scale killings of Christians in the country. In a statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said Trump's claims do not reflect the current realities in Nigeria, which faces a range of security challenges. Now, the statement said that the Nigerian government remains committed to fighting terrorism, strengthening interfaith harmony, and protecting the lives and rights of all its people. It added that Nigeria will continue to engage constructively with the U.S. government to deepen mutual understanding of regional dynamics and the country's ongoing peace and security efforts. In Afghanistan, a 6.3 magnitude earthquake shook northern Afghanistan overnight, killing at least 20 people and injuring 330 others. A spokesman for Afghanistan's disaster management agency said that most of the injured suffered minor wounds and were discharged after receiving initial treatment. The United States Geological Survey said the quake's epicenter was located 22 kilometers from the town of Qom and struck at a depth of 28 kilometers. The earthquake was also felt in Kabul. Now, Afghanistan's Balkh and Samangan provinces suffered the most damage from this earthquake. An armed jihadist group that's affiliated with Al-Qaeda is closing in on Bamako, the capital of Mali. The country's government and its Russian partners are struggling to counter the jihadists who now hold sway in many parts of the huge Sahelian country. Fuel is running short in Bamako as militants belonging to a group called Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam al-Muslim cut roads to the capital, attack military patrols and ambush tanker tracks. As the situation continues to deteriorate, the UK, the United States and Germany, among others, have urged their nationals to leave Bamako immediately. In the UK, 9 people suffered life-threatening injuries on Saturday night after a stabbing attack on a train in central England that the Prime Minister Keir Starmer described as deeply concerning. Police say that 10 people were taken to hospital, 9 of whom suffered long life-threatening injuries. No fatalities have been reported from this incident thus far. Still now look at news from beyond our borders. A U.S. analyst has expressed his dissatisfaction with the Trump administration for its indifference to people's needs after the suspension of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program triggered by the federal government shutdown. SNAP ceased operations on the 1st of November due to the absence of appropriations as announced by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Now, the program covers approximately 42 million people, primarily low-income individuals, people with disabilities, and the elderly. Enrollees can use government-subsidized food stamps to purchase food at some designated stores.
It means that they're likely have gone hungry at least 1, maybe 2 days. Keep in mind the SNAP payments were supposed to start again on November 1st, and those benefits have not been restored. Now, they've gone to court, some states and some anti-hunger advocates, to try to get the government moving and to get the president moving on these things, but he's been very stubborn about this. He now says via social media that he'll relent and let these benefits flow, that after he hears from his lawyers.
Now we take a look at some business news.
Captain Wally J's about to take you to boot camp.
It's the riveting science and tech show that keeps you up to date with the hottest gizmos on the block and revealing the illustrious and innovative visionaries in Zimbabwe. So much to see, you'll keep swiping.
This cherry red beauty is the Dairy Auto M7 mini electric car.
They've designed our brute force incubator board.
Look at what we've got here.
Solar powered scarecrow was part of the project that I was supposed to complete.
Catch Swipe every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294. Get the picture?
Now, in our look at business news tonight, Zimbabwe has ratified the OECD Multilateral Convention on Mutual Administrative Assistance in Tax Matters through SIAT of 2025, Proclamation 4 of 2025, following its July signing. Now, as the 151st jurisdiction to join, the country commits to greater tax transparency and cross-border cooperation to curb evasion and illicit financial flows. Authorities expect this move to boost revenue collection and investor confidence, supported by ongoing reforms at Zimra. We are now joined live from New York by Hajane Mugwagwa, principal at Fresh Legal Perspective. Hajane, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, what legal and economic impact will OECD ratification have on local businesses and investors?
The immediate legal and economic implications for ratifying the OECD Convention, or the MAC, indicates that Zimbabwe has arrived in the Global Tax Transparency Network. For domestic businesses, especially banks and financial institutions, this means new compliance and reporting duties. In addition to identifying clients, they'll be documenting their tax residency, and if Zimbabwe participates in one of the implementing arms of the MAC, such as the Common Reporting Standard for Automatic Data Exchange, it will mean that those institutions will be also transmitting account data to the relevant national authority, in Zimbabwe's case, likely Zimra. This will raise short-term administrative and technology costs for those institutions, but they should also see enhanced credibility with foreign partners and investors as Zimbabwe now operates on more global standards. For the broader economy, ratification of the convention should promote cleaner business practices, result in reduced reputational risk, and aligns the country with international norms. For foreign investors, this additional transparency can increase confidence and predictability about the market, though it does limit opportunities for opaque tax planning via Zimbabwe. In the long run, Zimbabwe should benefit through higher tax compliance and better governance, though initial implementation is likely to strain smaller institutions and it will require building capacity across the entire private sector and the public sector as well.
Now, I want us to talk about enforcement now. How then will Zimbabwe enforce OECD standards and what challenges might be faced in trying to align with the global norms?
Ratifying the OECD Convention is the first step. Zimbabwe will now face the challenge of integrating these international standards into its domestic legal and institutional framework. Some of the actions that it will have to undertake include passing legislation that authorizes information collection and exchange. As well, it will have to establish confidentiality, data protection, and cybersecurity measures as required under the MAC. Training of officials and financial institutions on the reporting and due diligence requirements will also have to be undertaken. We should also see the officials participating in peer reviews by the OECD's Global Forum to demonstrate compliance with the MAC. The challenges can be significant. We've seen many countries struggle with implementing due to limited IT capacity, conflicting privacy or banking secrecy laws, and as well as just general resource constraints within the tax administration authorities. Private sector readiness can also be a challenge, especially for local banks who may be unfamiliar or who lack the capacity to address CRS standards. Overcoming these hurdles will require sustained investment, technical partnerships, and legal reform if the promise of the MAC is to be realized in Zimbabwe.
Haji, thank you so much for your time and for joining us. That was Haji Mgwagwa, a legal expert. We're just talking about all things tax transparency as Zimbabwe moves to adopt a new tax transparency phenomenon. Now, BMW Group South Africa has issued a major safety recall of 12,491 vehicles across Kenya and the wider Kemesa region. This following the discovery of faults in starter motors and defective Takata airbags. The Kemesa Competition Commission said the affected models face risks of water infiltration into the starter motor, which could cause corrosion, engine failure, or localized overheating, in rare cases, even fires. Now, the recall also targets Takata-supplied airbags for drivers and front passengers, which may rupture during deployment in humid and high-temperature conditions, posing some serious injury risks. Still in business, Qatar, which is among the world's top exporters of liquefied natural gas, tapped global debt markets for $4 billion in a two-tranche issue, which attracted hefty order books and allowed the Gulf states to achieve more favorable pricing than initially indicated. Qatar sold a $1 billion three-year bond at 15 basis points over U.S. Treasuries and a $3 billion Islamic bond or sukuk with a 10-year tenure at 20 basis points over the same benchmark. This according to a document from one of the lead managers. Now, orders for the issuance hit $13.5 billion ahead of the launch. Fixed Income News Service IFR reported, allowing the sovereign rated AA by Fitch and S&P to tighten pricing substantially from earlier guidance. Gold prices held steady on Monday, hovering around $4,000 per ounce, and investors hunkered down for U.S. private payroll data due this week to assess the chances of an additional U.S. Federal Reserve interest rate cut this year. The metal, which has gained 53% this year, has dropped over 8% from a record high hit on October 20th. Investors are awaiting the release of ADP U.S. employment data due on Wednesday and ISM this week for cues on the Fed's policy direction. Now, the U.S. government shutdown has halted the release of key economic data, including from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The central bank last week cut interest rates for the second time this year, but Chair Jerome Powell said that another cut this year was not a foregone conclusion. Now, from business, we give you some entertainment news. What were you doing over the weekend? Sungura legend Alec Macheso thrilled thousands of fans with two electrifying performances in Mlayo and Beitbridge. Babashiro delivered back-to-back sold-out shows, first at Palace Hotel in Bulawayo on Friday, before heading to Pagomba Cafe in Baitbridge on Saturday. More than 7,000 fans were in attendance at the Bulawayo show. Babashiro was sharing the stage with Peter Moyo. The Bulawayo Arts Awards are making a grand comeback this year for their 8th edition, this following a 2-year break after last year's postponement due to some unforeseen circumstances. Set for the 20th of December, this year's award ceremony promises to be a night of glitz and recognition. Now, in a heartfelt tribute, organizers have renamed some of the categories to honor some fallen icons who made lasting contributions to the Bulawayo art scene, including Babongile Skonjwa and Desire Moyoxide Moyo, who passed away recently. And now for some entertainment news, some sporting news rather.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J. All right.
Put your seatbelt on.
And now look at sports tonight. Let's start off with some cricket. Chevron's captain Skandaraza says he saw improvements in his side's batting despite losing their T20 international series to Afghanistan 3-0. The Chevrons lost the final match by 9 runs after an improved batting performance, which saw them post 201 runs. Up next, they travel to Pakistan for T20 International Tri-Series featuring the hosts and Sri Lanka. Chevron's captain Skandaraza believes that the Tri-Series will be another opportunity for his side to continue preparing for next year's World Cup in India and Sri Lanka.
Personally, I learned a valuable lesson as well, that different conditions, different opposition, you try and learn to skin the cat differently. The Pindi is apparently the second highest run scoring ground in the world if you look at the stats. So we're going to hopefully try and restrict them to as little as we possible because it is a high scoring ground. So the challenge is on the bowlers to not leak or try and contain the opposition to a low score because it is a high scoring ground. And then for batters, if you're batting first, then try and take full advantage of that. Lahore is also a high scoring ground as well. So I'm really excited for the next series. Why? Because we're going to a place where it is wickets and runs galore. When you take wickets, you take too many wickets. If you look at South Africa, I mean, 3 games and they got them out 3 times. Pakistan got all out in the first game, then Pakistan got South Africa out second game, and I think also got South Africa out 3. And when the run starts to flow, teams are scoring 200, 190, 220 as well. So I'm quite excited about the next series because it's going to be a very action-packed series, and we have to be up for the challenge.
In football news, Scotland coach Tunde Randirai has credited the club's mid-season signings for helping them secure a historic league title in their debut season in the PSL. Scotland beat Quaker United 5-1 at Ascot on Sunday to take an unsaleable 7-point lead with 2 rounds of matches to go. Maviravira have now joined the all-conquering Black Rhinos side of 1984 as the only teams to lift the league title in their debut season. Diraya also became the first coach to win back-to-back league titles with different clubs after achieving the feat with Simbabora last season.
We had a difficult first 6-7 games, and then when we hit 10-game mark, things started to fall in place for us. And then the Honorable MP came back again with another huge investment during the mid-season transfer window. Brought in Knowledge in Sona unexpectedly, then Terence Zukamanja, Moses Shidolo from Namibia, then Mafio Stewart from Highlanders, Kuda Muyamba from Malawi, and I think those 5 players changed things for us. They brought a different dimension to our game, and then we started winning games. I remember we started winning against Ngezi Platinum Stars. We got very important points when we were 10 men. Then from there we went on for a 7-match winning streak.
Mino Ndirai has been voted the PSL coach for the month of October. The Scotland Gaffer led his side to wins over Chickenin and Moors as they marched toward the league title. Dynamo's captain Emmanuel Jalai is the player of the month for October. Now, the right back has been instrumental in his side's battle for survival, playing a key in their draws against Ngezi Platinum and Highlanders, as well as scoring a contender for the goal of the season in their Chibuku Super Cup success. Zimbabwe coach Joy Lupahla says the failure to defend their league title has been quite a disappointment. The 2024 Castle Lager Premier League champions ceded ground to New Boys Scotland, who wrestled the title from Shamva to Mavuku. Speaking after his side's 1-1 draw with Highlanders at Wadzanai on Saturday, Lupahla offered his reflection on how the season panned out for the dethroned league champions.
It's really difficult for myself also as a coach, because maybe in the beginning or first half of the season I would have said I'm still learning, but second half of the season I feel that I'm into this, I've grasped this, and what I said is that maybe we need to learn more how to finish off games, especially in the third half of the season, and these are the lessons that we want to carry and make sure that we correct them as we move forward. We need to be professional about how we conduct ourselves. We need to play these 2 games that are left like they are the beginning of the season games, but it's disappointing. You know, we are given an opportunity to come here and defend the title, and it's disappointing for me as a coach that to see that the title is out of our grasp. It's a disappointing campaign for us. It's a disappointing campaign. It's a disappointing campaign for myself as well as a coach, and I hope that maybe we take these lessons and move forward. We have been playing a lot of games with pressure, and these kind of games, if you look at the group that we have, maybe only 4 or 5 players have played in these kind of pressure games. But I hope that they have learned. We've got a very talented squad, and maybe second season we'll get better. This is our first season.
Now, in other results from across the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League, Tel1 striker Washington Navaya fired home his 17th goal of the season in a 1-1 draw against Green Fuel at Ascot to extend his lead in the Golden Boot race. Moors avenged their Chibuku Super Cup loss to Triangle with a 1-0 win that dropped Triangle into the relegation places. Yet beat Rentals 1-0, while Manika Diamonds stunned Ngezi Platinum Stars 1-0. ZPC Kariba and FC Platinum shared the points in a 1-1 at Nyamunga. Now, Dynamo's condemned Bikita Minerals to another defeat with a 1-0 win at Rufaro to wrap up match day 32. Looking at the log standings, another significant match day passed with Scotland capturing the title while Dynamo's climbed out of the relegation zone. Green Fuel, Triangle United and Yada occupy the last 3 relegation places, with Bikita Minerals, Dynamus, Manika Diamonds, Chickenin and Highlanders still not mathematically safe from the drop. And with that, we conclude and we call it a night. Thank you so much for joining us. You are watching Newsplus. My name is Faith Nyaude. We leave you with the weather bulletin. Good evening and pleasant viewing.